Did you see Henry Cejudo fire his coach on Countdown?
What is that, legit or what? Like, I want to. Is this some weird way of marketing? I just don't get it. In front of the cameras, it's just so weird. It just seems like it's set up for something.
All right, so Henry Cejudo, the king of cringe, is back and cringier than ever. He tricked us all. No, not really. So the man who calls himself Triple C, which in itself is so cringe, and the so-called greatest combat sports athlete of all time. By the way, I mean this with absolutely no disrespect to his accomplishments. He obviously had to work extremely hard to be an Olympic gold medalist and a two-time UFC champion, but you just cannot be 5'4" and 120 pounds soaking wet and the greatest combat sports athlete of all time. To be even considered for something like that, you have to be at least within the normal realm of what a grown man's size is. Like, if he was a welterweight or a lightweight, a middleweight, something like that, I think people would be talking about him as the greatest combat sports athlete of all time. But let's just be honest, guys. There are not many grown men who are walking around 5'4" and 120 pounds. It's the same reason Amanda Nunes, with her incredible record, isn't considered the greatest UFC fighter of all time, because there's just not that much of a talent pool to draw from, especially at her weight class when she fought at 145. And obviously, Henry Cejudo, as small as he is, would kick the living out of me. I understand that. I'm not knocking him as a fighter or anything he's achieved, but I just think the greatest combat sports athlete of all time thing is taking it a little bit too far. So if you didn't see it, which I'm sure you did because it's been doing the rounds, he fires his coach Eric live on UFC Countdown, which came out just a few days ago, and it was extremely uncomfortable and weird to watch. I think everybody agreed when they watched it that it seemed like it was a bit of a ruse, like it was a setup. Like, why would you sit down with your coach when there's cameras there and tell him he's not going to be a part of your training camp? Like, that's such a dick move. And I think because it seemed so fake and contrived and like such a dick move, no one really believed it. Everybody sort of came out and said, like, nah, this seems like just a Henry Cejudo thing, trying to get some attention.
Dude, I watched some of his YouTube vlogs just to have a good laugh. Just the way they talk and Henry walking around and Henry's vlogs.
Did you see Henry Cejudo fire his coach on Countdown?
What is that, legit or what? Like, I want to. Is this some weird way of marketing? I just don't get it. In front of the cameras, it's just so weird. It just seems like it's set up for something.
The genuine consensus was this was just bullshit. Didn't really happen. Ariel says he texted Coach Eric and asked if it was real, and he said it was. He said it was as real as anything. And then Henry comes out yesterday, I think it was on Twitter, and he does a YouTube video and says basically, haha, tricked you all. It was all fake. It was all for publicity. I never fired Coach Eric. But then thank God for the Godfather himself, Uncle Chael. He releases this video on his channel, which is Coach Eric explaining the whole situation. It wasn't fake. It wasn't a ruse. It was 100% real.
To tell you the truth, that UFC Countdown was almost 9 weeks ago. So when that happened, it was real. You know, me and Henry are super close, like brothers, and like brothers, you know, we're always battling heads and, you know, maybe training philosophies too. He didn't like that. He didn't like what happened in the last camp. There was a few outbursts, and he doesn't like when that happens. Neither do I. And he made a decision that he wanted to remove some of the coaches, and I was one of them. And the reason was that reason that I said, which was we're so close and we fight a lot. Well, it was good to see Henry because I hadn't seen him. A little bit nervous, but as soon as I saw him, it was like good to see him. And we hugged, and I was like, there's no way you could break up.
Okay, so then Coach Eric goes on the MMA Hour with Ariel, and the first thing he does is he says, ha ha ha, we tricked you all. Like, we got you, we tricked you. And Ariel's like, oh, okay, yeah, you tricked us. Okay, why did you tell me it was real when I texted you?
I got you guys.
No, you didn't get us. You didn't get us. I knew it. You lied to me. I reached out to you and said, is this real? You said it's as real as it gets. Why would you lie to me? Why wouldn't you tell me off the record?
Coach Eric just like goes on this long diatribe about nothing, really. He just talks in circles. And Eric was not part of Henry's training camp at all. So as you can see by all the evidence, it's clear as day. This wasn't fake. This was actually real. Henry did fire Coach Eric for this training camp. The problem is, because it was Henry doing it on camera, it seemed like we were watching an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians. Like, who does that? Who goes on camera and fires their coach? Like, do it behind closed doors, man. So here's what really happened, okay? I'm gonna break it down for you. Henry fires his coach on UFC Countdown because he loves getting attention. It was real. He really fired him. He really didn't want him in his training camp. He sees all the blowback that he's getting from media and other fighters, and when he sees him in Anaheim, California, because Eric's coaching his teammate, Paulo Costa, he understands that it's going to be a bit weird. He gives him a training suit and says, we're back, like, you couldn't break us up. I think he referred to like Phil Jackson and Michael Jordan and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady. Like, okay, man, settle down.
Captain. You got him. You got him.
Come on, guys.
Come on, you guys.
Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, Phil Jackson, Michael Jordan. Come on, you think that they would ever break up? Come on, man.
And so Eric, he's in a tough spot. He's like trying to play it off as if, like, yeah, I knew this was going to happen the whole time. Like, I knew I was going to be in this corner for fight night. We tricked you all. But like, he has no explanation for it because he didn't know that. He didn't plan on this. This wasn't a setup. This wasn't a gag. This wasn't fake. But then again, like, does this really surprise us coming from Henry Cejudo? This guy he has to be the biggest weirdo in the UFC. He's right up there with Ian Gary. I don't know, man. I think Henry Cejudo might have overtaken Ian Gary this week. Remember when he called out Valentina Shevchenko?
That's the wackiest shit I've ever heard. It's just fucking crazy that he would even say that.
Well, what about how he retired from the UFC while he was holding 2 championship belts because he was unhappy with the pay he was getting? So this guy was under contract and he wanted to renegotiate a contract. So his tactical move was to retire for 3 years. And then he comes back and gets a title shot and loses. Dude, you just gave up at least 2 title fights where you should have been receiving pay-per-view points. If you had won at least one of them, that's 3 fights, maybe 4. How much money did you leave on the table by retiring as champion? And I'm presuming he came back on the same contract. I haven't heard anything to dispute otherwise.
Okay, Henry, this one's for you, my man, right? Some of the things, oh my God, you blew my... I couldn't believe what I was seeing, right? So you were here like this, right? And you were doing this, and I was like, you were doing this little thing, and I was like, what the fuck is that? I've never seen nothing like it. This guy is a fucking genius, yeah? So you were doing this really well, yeah? If you'd have just done it this way, man, you're a fucking clean shot, bro.
He's now saying that if he loses on Saturday to Merab, that he's going to retire. And I'm sorry to say that I think that's exactly what's going to happen. I think Merab's going to smash him. This whole thing is one of the weirdest things I've ever seen take place in the UFC. Why he did it on camera in the first place, I have no idea. He wanted to get attention. I guess it worked. He got some attention, but like, you're getting attention from people saying, why did you do this, man? That's weird. First of all, you didn't trick anyone because no one thought it was real. And second of all, you didn't trick anyone because it was real. You did fire him. He wasn't in your camp. So in no way did you fool anybody. You played yourself, man. But anyway, that's just my opinion. Let me know your opinion down below in the comments. And if you enjoy this content, please remember to like and subscribe.